Welcome to the second episode of the Coleman Show. Today, I am joined by my wonderful mother. Mom, just go ahead and tell them a little about yourself, what you do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, my biggest and best job is being a mom to you and your brother.
Mhm.
My background is in real estate and structured finance, which is basically the bringing of investors to the table for commercial real estate transactions. My education spans from App State, where I completed degrees in psychology and philosophy, and also attended Duke Law. Um, I have been in the commercial real estate and real estate space and the structured finance space for about 23 years. So
Wow.
that's a little bit about my background.
Mhm. How do you think some of that experience and just that real life experience in the work field kind of translated when it's coming to recruiting and having these boys, especially when it comes to NIL, it's really popping. And how can you take an athlete as you have me and Ian as your sons? What is some advice that you would give to a parent that has a son that's just now getting into this NIL world and this college football world? What are just some pieces of advice you would give to a up and coming parent?
Well, I think my particular background with contracts
Mm,
and being able to negotiate, I think in terms of what's happening now is my biggest asset, not only for my sons, but any young person that is navigating through this process. The recruiting game has changed immensely. Not only is it nerve wracking for the student athletes, but it's nerve wracking
mhm.
for us as parents
Right.
as well. I think one of the biggest things that we first and foremost as parents have to do is control the anxiety and understand that we can only control the controllables. Um, with more and more kids being in the portal,
Yeah.
it is definitely harder for high schoolers in terms of this recruiting journey. Um, my advice to parents and to students would to be at this point not to be so wrapped up in D1, D2, D3. Uh,
Right.
Go where your child is going to play.
Right.
Let them get the film and let that film speak for itself
Right.
because right now high schoolers are competing with 23-year-olds that have 3 years of college playing time.
Hmm.
Um, Even other college students are competing with older, more experienced college players for positions that were once allocated for high schoolers or transfers or JUCO
Hmm.
transfers. So this the recruiting engine in and of itself has created an entirely new dynamic, um, not only for athletes but for parents as well. And I think the best thing that we can do is first make sure that we are uh, emotionally grounded, that we have a game plan in place,
Hmm.
that we've discussed with our student athlete what their game plan is,
Yeah.
um, that they do have a plan, A and B,
Mhm.
and that they follow through. That they are athletes of good character, that they're athletes first and foremost with good grades. So when it comes time for the
Mhm.
transfer, there's not an issue in that regard.
Mhm.
So if you don't necessarily get um, full football money, you do have the academic money that
Yeah.
supplements what
Cover you.
football may not cover.
Yeah.
So there are ways to definitely stack. And in my business in structured finance, we call it the capital stack.
Hmm.
We where on projects we may have to bring investors in, we may have to use traditional financing, we may have to use municipal money. It's the same thing now with recruiting. We have to find a way to stack the capital, and whether that be through, like I said, athletic money, whether it be through academic money, whether it be through, you know, some folks may have to do a small loan.
Hmm.
Um, but the goal is to try to have our children go to school loan free, debt free.
Right.
And the best way to do that is to keep your grades
Hmm.
up, academic money, athletic money, and then other community based scholarships that could supplement as well.
Right.
So, um, yeah.
Just speaking from my perspective, um, being as an athlete that was in a portal, it is stressful. It does get times where you are wonder if this coach gonna text you back, or you do get really grounded, or as you see, like we were very rushed to make a decision. Um,
Mhm,
when it really just came down to it, you just have to trust in yourself and trust for what energy is out there is gonna find you.
mhm,
I'm honestly like now that I'm here, I'm really glad we made a decision to come down here to Ave Maria. Honestly, like it's been great for me. So it's like as my advice to kids going through that through the portal, going through high school is it's gonna find you through all the stress, through all the anxiety, through all the hard times, through all the I don't knows and the unresponsive text messages and calls. It's because something out there is being built for you, or something out there is really waiting to really for to become open for you.
mhm.
And
Patience is definitely essential.
hmm
I think we have all learned a bit of patience and humility,
hmm
throughout this process.
right.
Going on the college circuit, you definitely feel coming out of high school, you're like, my child is the best. He should get, you know, everything on top. He should have the um, everything just kind of laid out for them. But you have to
Right.
realize that everybody at college is the best at their game.
hmm
Everyone is coming with, similar aspirations, with
hmm
similar goals, with similar stats, and you're starting all over again. You're
Yeah.
starting all over again, and so you're not gonna. No college athlete, I don't care whether they're 5 star, 4 star, 3 star, or no star. Not that that even matters if
hmm
you're looking to play on the next level, but everybody is starting from ground zero.
Right.
Everybody is starting from ground zero.
Right.
And more than likely, if you're going into a D1 program and you are a true freshman, a very small number of freshmen actually walk out on that field.
hmm
Most freshmen are going to be redshirt their first year, if not their first and second year. And my advice to them is to take that opportunity to learn,
Yeah.
take that opportunity to observe, grow. The pace of the game is a lot different. See where you fit in, and that's another key thing when you're looking to find colleges. Go where you fit their scheme.
Right.
You can't just say,
And
oh,
yeah.
yeah, I want to go to Clemson, I want to go to VT, I want to go.
Yeah.
You may not fit their scheme.
hmm
You may not fit their measurables. Just like we had a situation, with your brother
hmm
going to NC State, blowing out people at camp. Oh, we need him to grow 2 more inches. We're
Yeah.
like, seriously? He's
Right.
blowing out everybody at your camp.
Yeah.
So there are some schools that are very strict on their measurables. And if that's the case, if that's what they do, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And you just have to see if you fit. If you don't, you have to go on to next on the list and make sure you keep your options and your mind open to
Right.
where you can make the biggest contribution and where you fit into their scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, a great, great answer. Another question that we have for you is, how do you think the effect of NIL could help these athletes build generational wealth before getting to the NFL?
To be honest, I really think that there are some things that should be put in place with Neil, because right now it's like the wild wild west
hmm
with no real true boundaries, no real parameters of, first of all, how Neil is distributed, um, who qualifies, how you can get it,
hmm
and those sorts of things. First and foremost, I think that all recipients of any NIL monies should complete a financial literacy class, both themselves and their parents, because there are going to be a lot of parents that are going to be mismanaging kids' money. Um, and kids are going to be finishing school thinking that they have um, this money set aside, and
Yeah.
that may not be the case. So I think it's very important that they complete a financial literacy course,
hmm
both the parents and the student athlete. I think that the NIL sponsor should also have parameters as to if they're going to pay out all of the monies at one time, if
Yeah.
there's going to be certain benchmarks that are going to be made before certain payouts happen.
Hmm.
Is the money going to be placed in a trust for these kids, contingent upon them meeting certain benchmarks, contingent upon them fulfilling the financial literacy requirements?
Hmm.
Um, I think the sponsors themselves need to put more parameters around um, how that money is
Hmm.
given out. I mean, if you go work a job, there's parameters and responsibilities attached to that job.
Hmm.
Just like if you play in the NFL, there are responsibilities attached to those earnings.
Right.
And likewise with NIL, there needs to be some measures in place of how the money is distributed, how the money is managed, and how our student athletes and families are educated on the money once they receive it. And also that they're educated on how to go out and get it. You
Hmm.
know, a lot of athletes aren't aware that they can go out locally and secure
Yeah.
their own sponsorships. They're
Yeah.
not aware that a lot of schools have actual NIL agents um, that should be, you know, working on the school and on their behalf, and they're
Hmm.
not aware of that. So one of my things is to educate folks on how to go out and, you know, obtain local sponsorships and to build that brand um, that is going to be of good character, that is going to be not only a great athlete but also a person that any company would be proud to have market their product.
Hmm.
So that's one of the big things I think in creating generational wealth. There has to be education first. There has to be a foundation built on smart spending, on
Hmm.
smart investing. Um,
Right. Once
you
this
know,
foundation of smart spending and this great foundation is built, what are some investments do you think these athletes really look into that make this money generational?
well, I mean, definitely, real estate is always a great
Hmm.
investment for anyone. I would advise anyone um, that is 18 or anyone that comes into this money not to go out and spend on lavish items,
Hmm.
to basically keep your spending at what you need.
Hmm.
Don't feel
Yeah.
obligated that you have to give anyone money or pay anyone's bills. This is your body. You've worked for it. You've earned this right. I think a lot of times young people are easily coerced and feel obligated to have to take care of, you know, mom, dad, brother, sister,
Mhm.
uncle, you know,
Yeah.
cousin, nene, you know, no, you know, you've first got to make sure that you've laid a foundation first for your health, because
Yeah.
this is a game that's going to take its effect on your body. So it's
Hmm.
definitely smart to make a long term investment.
Hmm.
Um, so looking at, you know, real estate investments, looking at, you know, things that are going to be a combination of risks. You know, don't put money in things that are going to uh, be risky.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely look at something at this point that is going to pay you over time because
Hmm.
you're so young still yet.
Yeah.
But definitely learn to say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Big one.
Definitely learn to say no. There are lots of things that people can do. You know, they can invest in you know, universal index life insurance policies, you know,
Hmm.
that basically allow them the opportunity to pull from their own savings and borrow from themselves. I mean, there's a number of things that people can do in order to leverage what they have and to allow it to grow um, without a lot of risk. So generational wealth begins first with education,
Hmm.
assess, assessment of risk, you
Hmm.
know, finding something that is going to have a a gradual rate of return mixed with other investments that have more immediate rates of return. It's all about leverage. and being able to have that balance, that's going to give you long-term generational wealth over time.
Yeah, and as we talked about it earlier, like a lot of these schools are going to pay these money. So of course, when these freshmen are going in and we're getting recruited, these starters in their contracts, it's required for them to start to earn a set of money. So as far as when people are getting recruited, just kids keep that in mind as well. They're starters, they're paying them big money so they can make big time plays. So it's going to be hard for a lot of freshmen to get on the field because they are paying them these big bills and these big dimes. So that was just a unless you just come in and you're just that guy.
Right.
But that was, and trust me, you can come in and be that guy regardless of who you are. But that was just a thought that crossed my mind when I started talking about this.
hmm and I mean, really, young people, whether they're receiving NIL money or not receiving NIL money, just good practices overall, starts in your teens. You
Mm,
know, a lot of times you get to college and the first thing you get hit with are those credit card applications,
yeah,
and it's not bad to have a credit card, just don't utilize over 30% of your limit,
yeah,
and don't have more than two.
yeah,
Because you're going to need that because when you become 2021 and you might want to purchase a car in your own name or purchase a property. And
mm,
with your first property that you purchase, don't make it your primary residence. Actually
mm,
purchase you a duplex. You live in one side, you let the other tenant pay your mortgage on the other
mm,
side. So um, they're just ways that in using your money and good money practices early, you can set yourself up for
mm,
later on in life. And not to say things won't ever happen later on in life, because
mm,
sometimes things happen that that you don't expect are going to happen in
right.
life. But at least if you have that education behind you, you can always get it back.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
that's the key is having the education to know that you can always bounce back. And that's with anything in life.
mm,
That's with anything in life. That's from injuries, with football. That's with anything financial. Um, good mental health. If
mm,
people go through ups and downs, you can
yeah,
always bounce back,
yeah.
with a positive mindset and the proper education.
Mm. Very well. I appreciate you for coming on the podcast. A lot of great information. Is there any advice just in general? I know we talked a little bit of advice earlier. Just any pieces of information, anything you want to ask me to end off our show?
Um, I don't know what to ask you. I think we talk very
Mm,
openly.
mm,
We've always had a great relationship where we talk very openly. Um, I'm glad that you're adjusting and that you made positive changes um, into a new, more
yeah.
productive environment for you.
Mm,
Um, I would say my biggest question at this point is how would you say the transfer has changed your plans, future plans, if any?
I don't. I don't think it changed any of my plans. I think it furthermore gave me a stronger foundation of what I want to do, and it secured the confidence of wherever I go, like my plans are solidified. Um, and it just comes into part of growing up. You have to live and learn, but move forward when you live and learn. You can't live and learn and fall backwards. You have to live and learn and fall forward. So I'm just really thankful that I live and learn. I was able to fall forward and really build a stronger foundation within myself and really become more secure in what I am, what I know I can do, and really a point we mentioned earlier today for those kids who don't have an area or space as we're open to talk, making sure they find that in that responsible
Mhm.
adult that being and be able to have a relationship with them to talk about these sensitive topics because that's a lot what we struggle with today. These kids will make a extraneous decision and this decision will hurt them 10, 15 years down the road because they didn't have a positive role model that's been through this and worked through this, that, and the third to really point them in the right direction. So a lot of these kids end up being lost and feel these huge waves of anxiety, depression, and just sadness,
Mhm.
especially among athletes, which of course we're working to help bring into light and of course use education to fight against.
Mhm. Well, depression and joy cannot dwell in the same space.
Mm,
So it's about what we choose to make room for
mm,
and having good, solid practices to help put you back to center. So,
mm.
what practices do you have that kind of put you back to center that you think some young people could use if they're feeling a bit of anxiety?
Honestly, just trust in who you are. Recently, I'll read my 2 pages of my Bible every day. That helps me keep myself in line and like my faith and stuff like that. But also, really, one thing I really got into, a lot of athletes really do just feel lost. And to my athletes who meditate or are spiritual, there's always a sign that you feel cling to. Just look for, if you feel lost or something like this, ask God for this sign. And trust me,
Mhm,
God will show you this sign. And I started going outside and I put my timer on 7 minutes just because 7 minutes is just so critical as in luck and fortune and just attracting the right positive. I'll set it at 7 minutes and I'll just go out, I'll sit on the game field and I'll just imagine me lining up in my
mhm,
B gap or line myself line up in this A gap and see myself making these plays and feel the
mhm,
emotion of the happiness and just consistently seeing that every day is just stacking confidence on confidence and confidence on confidence, as well as
mhm,
making me more self-disciplined on what I want to do and keeping me on track to do that. Those are just healthy things that I started doing every day. And when I started to do these things every day, it really started to and also, I would just ask for gratitude. I'd just be appreciative of what I
mhm.
do have because a lot of athletes always constantly want more instead of just stopping and seeing what they have and being
That's right.
truly blessed. And that's what I just started being more appreciative of what I have. But it's funny how it works when you become more appreciative of what you have, the more you'll
Mhm,
get.
mhm.
So I
That's
just
it.
sat and I just meditate and just I do normally I close my eyes so I'm not able to see the time. And at first I just be appreciative to God and just tell him how thankful I am and just thank
Mhm,
him and just wish prayers for all my family, my teammates, my enemies, and everybody. And then after that, I'll just go into sitting there and meditating and envision me making plays and envision me being an All-American, going to the NFL, having business X, Y, and Z, and envisioning this every day. That way, my goals are constantly in my head, constantly in
mhm,
my unconscious and conscious mind. That way, any
mhm,
distractions that show up are automatically voided because I'm so attracted towards my own goals. So. That's
mhm.
just something I work towards, and that's been really helpful for me.
Yeah. Mindfulness and intention and gratitude
Mhm.
are the three biggest things.
Yeah.
When you wake up in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do, they turned up this music in this lobby. I hope you can hear me.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
the first thing I do is give thanks. You
Mhm.
know, no matter what I'm going through, I always give thanks because even in our blessing is a blessing. So always give thanks, always being mindful, always doing things with intention, and making sure that the energy we put out there is like to the energy we want to receive. So,
Mhm.
um, those are definitely great things, not only for young people, but for us adults also,
Mhm.
because sometimes we get caught up with life and we forget from which our blessings flow. We forget our center. We forget that it's not us doing it.
Yeah.
It's not us doing it. We want to act like it's us. We want to take the credit that it's us, but it's not us.
Mhm.
And we have to give credit where credit is due,
Mhm.
and give thanks always.
Mhm.
I'm really proud of you. I know, we've had some challenges over the years with,
Mhm.
loss of loved ones that we were particularly close to, and just
Mhm.
had to kind of re-navigate the way we see life and the way we see purpose, and the way we see intention and the way we see family. And I'm thankful that it's brought us closer,
Mhm.
as a unit in terms of you and your brother and I. So I'm thankful for you guys. It's truly a blessing. People say all the time, "Oh, raising kids is hard,"
Yeah.
but I feel like I'm blessed
Mhm.
to have kids that I learn from.
Mhm.
I learn from y'all just like y'all learn from me.
Right. Hmm.
I feel like young people have just as much to teach us as we have to teach them. And it's important to listen. And some grown-ups don't listen,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's important for us to listen.
Yep.
So
But
I try to do my best at that. Uh,
yeah.
I know
Get
sometimes why you
that.
say
Yeah, that's all I gotta say to that.
I don't listen, Jay, not always. I know
Yeah.
sometimes we parents think we know it all. We
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
It's our first time being parents.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm being a parent to you. It's my first time being a parent to a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
So I'm learning too,
Yeah.
you know. I'm learning too.
Yeah. But
So
with
we all
that,
have things that we can get better at,
mm,
uh, for sure. For sure.
I wanna go ahead and end the show. Thank you for coming on here and just giving us a great talk. It was great.
All right. I love you.
All right, thank you.
All right. See you next time.